Welcome, citizen, to another Starcarft Nation broadcast. I am your host, Venerati, and we are about to see the second game in between Socke and softball coming from the MLG 2010 Dallas Final Championship Extravaganza. No, it wasn't that. It was just the MLG Dallas Finals for Starcarft 2. Freaking awesome if you didn't go. But let's go ahead and talk about the first game, the first matchup we saw in between our two players here. It was on Lost Temple, and of course, Socke and softball spawned at the 12 o'clock and the 3 o'clock position, which on that map, you don't really see that long of games, but that game was 49 minutes long in game. That was the longest game I've ever cast before. So, if I kind of petered off at the end, as my voice is kind of feeling the pain, but that tea is keeping me good to go. But what we saw there, we saw a great battle in between our two players here of adaptation. Adaptation was the name of the game there. We saw Socke go with a zealot High Templar build, but he opened up with a cannon fast expanse, which kept him toe-to-toe with softball early on in the game as far as macro-wise, and that was such a macro-intensive game. In the end, softball ended up running away from Socke, as Socke was not able to maintain his expansions, and softball was able to maintain his expansion. We even saw Socke bring out some DTs, and we saw it switch up in Immortals. The only unit, of course, we didn't see any area units from Socke. You generally don't even see air units from Protoss anymore, but we did see DTs. We saw Archons. We saw Immortals. And we pretty much saw the entire range of units from softball. I think, let's see, the only unit softball didn't use, he used every single unit, I think. He had Zerglings, he had Roaches, he had Mutalisks, Hydralisks, Corruptors, Broodlords, Overlords. I think he even had, he had Infestors. He used every single unit you can possibly make as a Zerg player. So that was pretty awesome. And right now, let's go ahead and focus on the map at hand. We have Socke running around here being molested by this drone. The drone is definitely giving it once over to that probe, but seeing that he does not want Socke to have this extractor or the simulator slot for that Vespene, we see softball go ahead and steal that Vespene geyser. Pretty common stuff. And we actually see Socke completely walling off here, so I don't know what we're going to be seeing from him, but it looks like we might see some something crazy from him. I'm not really sure about that because we do actually have the Cybernetics core. We're getting 2 gateways, and this is going to be a Zealot-only space, I believe. So, not really sure if we're going to see some early Blink Stalkers or something of that nature. Meanwhile, though, softball switching it up a little bit. He's not going to get the 14 hatch. He's actually going to get the spawning pool first, and then he will be going for Speedlings, of course. Now, let's see. Does Socke scouted that out yet? Yes, he did actually scout out the spawning pool, so I do believe that gateway at the front door was a response to that. Meanwhile, though, softball switching over, it will be getting the natural for himself at around 22-23, and that's really going to, that could switch things up because he knew that Socke had seen what was going on, and we saw Socke react to, can you even get through? I don't think you can get through that. That is Zergling tight all the way through, so okay, yeah, Socke just pretty much all the way balled himself up, and yes, we actually do see Twilight Council, so we are probably going to see Blink Stalkers or Charge Lots coming from Socke. Socke just now finishing off that extractor, and that is a big old pile of flesh. We do see an assimilator being queued up right there, and we do actually see the Stalkers chewing on these destructible rocks, so looks like Socke is going to be trying to take this, making this his first expansion, as it is going to be protected by these rocks. Of course, the rocks are destructible. The Overlord will be seeing this, and it's going to give softball an idea exactly what Socke will be doing right now. So we do have the Queen sitting here. She will be vomiting those eggs all over that hatchery, and this is pretty cool because Socke is going to make sure that there is no ninja high yield from softball. This is pretty much just spiting softball and giving a good battlefield awareness because you can stick those. You can stick the pylons all over the map, and if you see a flock of Mutalisks coming around, you know that there's Mutalisks in the area. You know he's going to be looking to circumvent the front door, trying to come in the sides, trying to get in this mineral line unmolested, because especially for the earlier Mutal harassment, you don't want your Mutalisks being taken out. You don't want to go toe-to-toe with Stalkers because Stalkers are cheaper and they are very stubborn. And if you micro them right, they can be very deadly against those Mutalisk. So you want to hit critical mass with the Mutalisk Ball. But right now, we have the Blink being finished up by Socke. It is being chrono boosted out. We're seeing more and more of these Stalkers being brought to bear. And actually, I wonder if he's going to be knocking down these destructible rocks. I'm not so sure. Probably be blinking out of there, but I'm kind of curious how he's going to reinforce himself. Now, this pylon will allow him to reinforce himself. We do actually see that Overlord being sniped by Socke. So Socke doing a good job taking every single attack where he can take it. We do see a few Zerglings on the field for Softball. We see more Roaches coming up here, and we see Glial Reconstitution. We don't actually, there we go. Like I said, we don't see anything actually coming out of Socke. We don't even see an expansion just yet. So Socke looking to apply some early pressure, going to be jumping up here on the high ground, using this Zelnaga Tower so that he can lock down this expansion, because these destructible rocks are not down. We see another Overlord being sniped by Socke. Socke just really going to be being a pain in the side right now, as we do actually see them blink down there, and I do believe they were going to be trying to blink back up. His blink is not actually up right now. Socke's forces are actually taking some damage, but of course they do blink up before he loses a single Stalker. These guys are a little hurt, but of course their shields will be able to be recharged, and it will be a-okay. Meanwhile, we have Softball putting up a picket of Overlords. It's a good use of them, as just you really want, is like I was saying earlier, with those pylons, you want to keep the battlefield awareness. You don't want to be caught off guard, as that's a place you don't want to be. And we see Socke doing a good job of microing his Stalkers, making sure that they are not going to be overtaken. Meanwhile, we just see, we actually have quite a few Stalkers just kind of loitering around in the base, making sure that there isn't any sort of like Muto harassment, as right now, because Softball has had the lair for a while, you would generally expect to see Mutalisk coming around in response to that, but we don't actually have anything of that nature. We do have this drone coming over here. Is it actually going to go for a high yield? He could do so. Not so sure, but we do actually see these Stalkers going after that Queen. We do actually have these Roaches coming after these Stalkers. The Roaches, of course, will be able to chase them down with the Glial Reconstitution, but it's going to take them a long, long, long time to do so. So we do actually have this Stalker coming down here trying to make something happen. Still, Softball's natural is being shut down as of now. We do have this scouting drone sitting here, and Socke is bringing his first expansion online, as he has grabbed both of his assimilators, will be populating both of those, and we're still sitting on a 3-gate. So as Socke continues to just be a pain in the side for Softball, he's doing a good job of bringing his own base up to there. We do see a forge, and we do see a robotics facility. So Socke is going to be basically keeping his hand in Softball's face while he goes and does his thing inside the base, and there has basically been no repercussions of to Socke just yet. But of course, these Roaches are going to be working on these destructible debris. This Overlord is trying to give the vision to the Roaches, but the Roaches just really don't have the range to snipe the Stalkers like they need to. Of course, it's 4-6, so the Stalkers do have the advantage. But of course, these Roaches are going to be running up here. They are going to be evicting these Stalkers. These Stalkers need to run, as there are way too many Roaches for these Stalkers to handle. And of course, Socke does do a good job of moving them away, so he will be saving almost all of those Stalkers. We do have a Zealot patrolling around, trying to make sure that nothing crazy is going to be going on. And we just saw a Overlord try to suicide itself in the base, trying to see what's going on. But of course, these Stalkers were more than enough to handle that. We do see the forces of Socke kind of being caught out here on the Zelnaga Tower, but they don't have to really worry too much, as they do have Blink, and they will be engaging these Roaches. It would be a toe-to-toe fight, but we do see ground weapons level 1, and we see another Dark Shrine coming in for Socke. So Socke really digging the whole DT thing, as Warp Gate technology is in here, and Socke has done a great job of using Warp Prism. So he could drop a Warp Prism right here and throw down a DT, get it in the base, and do a lot of damage before Softball could respond. So Softball right now kind of on the defensive. And yes, we do see the Stalkers blinking into the main. We do see quite a few Stalkers taking a lot of damage. This is not a place you want to be, as that's blink timer. Socke was really caught off footing right there, as a lot of these Stalkers are not doing so good. We see 3 of them on life support. That one is on 5. So right now, Softball has a huge amount of Roaches, and he is able to get his natural back online. So let's take a look at the income tab. Socke has a huge income lead. Well, not really. I'm sorry, I'm over-exaggerating. Getting a little excited here. He has a 14 harvester count advantage. He does have more Vespene coming in for him, and he does have more more minerals coming in for him. But the key factor is that Softball is just now getting to this point with his economy because he had this natural shut down. While, oh wait, what was that? We see a DT in here. It is going to be chewing on these drones, one-shotting each and every one of them. We do see a Overseer coming in here. The drone's trying to flee for their life. Of course, the Dark Templar knows what's going on, so he's going to take his shots and leave. As we do see the Hydralisks coming in there. So this Hydralisk, if we do see Softball shift into the Hydralisk, it's going to be very, very hard for Socke to counter that with gateway units. But while that's going on, we do see the roaches burrowing in here, going to be healing themselves up, catching these stalkers, just kind of patrolling around as we're seeing some skirmishing going on here. And we do have the stalker up here on the back door of Softball, so Softball will not be able to take that easily. And of course, we do have the Overseer, or the Observer right here, so we see the force of Socke moving up. They will be engaging these burrow roaches. Will Softball be able to pull them up in time? Yes, he does actually pull them up. We see two of them go down as they scurry back to main base. And we have the Overlord over here. We have a Zealot, and we still have this Proxy Pylon. And we have a DT over here as well. Just a good, making sure there isn't any ninja shenanigans. We have another DT in here. He has come back and is going to be raining more hell down in there. He gets 8 kills, but oh, and there he goes as we actually see the forces of Socke starting to engage, but there are a whole lot of roaches there. Let's take a look at the units tab real quick, or the army tab. We have 160 or 136 for Softballs versus 121, and last time I looked, yes, we do actually have a harvester advantage for Socke, so Socke's army is slightly smaller, but I would actually venture to say that he would win because his army is tailored to killing roaches, and that's all that Softball has. I mean, he does have 4 Hydralisks here, and they're not even upgraded, whereas the army of Socke is upgraded with the +1 attack. So really, Socke is in the advantage here, and he's actually going to be bringing on a Colossus. So this Colossus is really going to be doing a lot, and Thermal Lance isn't quite done yet, but Socke, confident in himself, will be expanding to this rich mineral field. So he is going to be taking a very strong forward position here and basically saying like, hey, Softball, I'm going to be up in your face, and you really can't do anything about it. But Softball, of course, continuing to build Hydralisks and actually throwing in some Zerglings in there, but the main bulk of his force is still going to be roaches, and those Immortals are going to be more than apt at taking out that. We do actually have a changeling coming over here. Will Socke see it? Doesn't look like he's paying attention, but nice placement of the Colossus. Without an Overseer over here, it would be able to attack freely without any sort of repercussions. But unfortunately, Socke does not leave it up there. And we actually have the Zelnaga Tower. Is it going to be populated? Yes, so they're going to be populated by that roach. And it looks like Softball is going to be going for the natural. Oh, maybe, maybe not. It looks like, no, he is going to be engaging the forces right here at this choke point. I don't think this is the best position. You do see a force field coming up here on the ledge. And those Colossus are just doing a lot of damage. But Socke leaving the Colossus right there, but confident because he has force fields down. Let's go and take a look at how many kills they got. Yes, 5 and 3, 8 free kills pretty much for Socke right there. And Softball going ahead, borrowing his units and going to be healing them up. Great, great use of that ability as those roaches are able to heal themselves quite aptly. Now, of course, Socke here, Softball expecting there to be a Nexus here, but of course there's absolutely nothing. Will he be knocking on the front door? This could really be bad for him because he's going to be forced to engage Socke, and his forces are split right now. This is not a position that Softball wants to be in. Softball could really be in a crucial spot, and we actually see the Colossi in the front of this, and this is not where you want to put your Colossus. Actually, we see it flipped on Socke is now the one that is cornered, but the main army of Softball is going to be floundering right there, and we actually have this one Colossus. It does look like it's going to be going down. Will it? Oh, yes, and it does go down after it killed a lot of it, and actually Softball GGing out of that, knowing that the army left over for Socke was just too much. Softball doing a good job of getting a pinch on Socke, but Socke was able to reinforce and really just allowing these Colossus 13 kills. Oh god, that is just brutal. And unfortunately, the composition of Softball's armor is really what was his undoing. But either way, that's how the cookie crumbles. This series will be going to 3, so Softball and Socke will be fighting for basically whether they get to stay in the MLG Dallas tournament. Of course, a lot of you know what happens, and for those who don't, I won't spoil it for you. So guys, please join me for the next one. I hope you enjoyed this one, and as always, citizens, stay safe.